Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Down the Hobbit Hole. Today is May the 24th, 2017. My name is Emily, and this is my weekly podcast about knitting and spinning and all things making. If you'd like to find me online, you can find me on Instagram as MistyMountMakers. You can find me on Ravelry as MistyMountMakers, and you can find our group for the podcast under the groups tab as Down the Hobbit Hole. And you can, if you prefer emailing, if you want to get in touch with me, you can email Emily at MistyMountMakers.com. Yeah, and if you'd like to find any of our hand-dyed fiber or yarn, you can go to MistyMountMakers.com and I'll take you right to it. And all of that will be linked down below. So this week we are inside again. We are in the living room. This is our big front window. And we've got the chickens right over here. You can hear them pecking and being goofy. I've got it opened up so they can get their heads all the way out. And they're just making eyeballs at Tesla, who has calmed down considerably around the chickens. So I don't know if you guys have noticed. Usually not in a chair, but because usually we're outside. But I'm in a different chair from the one I'm normally in when I'm inside. Tim and I went to Goodwill. More on that later. But we went to Goodwill and I found this chair and it was $20. I was like, I can't justify that right now. And it's a high-backed pink velvet chair with, it can swivel and rock, and it came with the little arm guards, and it's in really good shape. I really like it. I even checked under the cushion to see if someone had spilled anything on it, and no, it's great. It's in good shape. The one thing I think I need is like an embroidery up here, some like cross stitch of like 3 kittens playing with a ball of yarn and then lace around it. And I think that would make this this chair the perfect cat lady chair. But we had to go back the next day because Tim bought a piece of workout equipment. So we had to go back for it the next day because the car was already full. And while we were there, this particular chair went half off. So it was only $10. And I was like, it's $10 and it's episode 10. And it's a beautiful chair. This has to happen. So we picked it up. Tim has this really hideous floral chair that he picked up at an estate sale that he loves. And we're going to back these up to the couch, which is right over there. And we'll have his and her chairs like an up. So we can look out the window at night together and read our books. So that's going to be great. We just have to get all the plants. I got most of the plants out of the living room today because it was raining too hard for me to podcast on the porch, which was my original plan. It was too noisy. So now all we have to do is dig out the floral chair from the catch-all room from when we moved here. So hopefully soon we'll have that set up. So on this coming Friday, which will be May the 26th, we will be doing a trunk show over at Hook and Needle. So I'll be there, and I'll have all my yarn and fiber set out, so everything will be out there and available. So if you're in the Knoxville, Maryville area, definitely come out and say hi. Christy has, she's the owner of Hook and Needle. She's got chairs set up in this great big knitting circle in the shop pretty much every day of the week. And so there should be plenty of seats for people to come and hang out and knit. And the best part is that downtown Maryville, which the yarn shop is in, downtown Maryville, will be doing Friday Night Lights. And what that is all the shops will be having either special sales, they'll be open outside of their regular hours. They may have like snacks, like Hook and Needle will be having, their event is My Trunk Show, and she'll have snacks and wine available for anyone who comes in to hang out and knit. And I think there's going to be a food truck. The church down the way will be having like a kids corner with little kids events and face painting and stuff, so it should be a lot of fun. So if your family is not as into fiber as you are, they can be kept busy with all the events going on around us. So definitely come and hang out. It should be a really good time. Hopefully we'll be seeing you there. But until then, on to knitting. So I have been working on my There and Back Again Cal. Well, all my projects for our There and Back Again Cal. And I'll have a link down below so you can get more information about that. But yeah, last week, which I know I talked about it a couple times, sorry, in last week's episode, but I had some technical difficulties, and I definitely thought I was in the right mind frame to record, and I'm pretty sure that I think the comparison that keeps coming to mind is in Pride and Prejudice, after Darcy proposes to Elizabeth and she rejects him completely, and he writes her that letter. At the end of the book, he says that he thought, I don't remember the exact wording, but he thought he had composed himself, but he realized later that he had written the letter in a great bitterness of spirit, or something along those lines. So I was feeling, I think, just a little pessimistic since I was having so much trouble with technology then, and I thought I had just messed up my pattern, and I was just prepared for everything to go wrong, but I was just fine. I was 2 rows from the lace beginning, and yeah, I was off by 1 stitch, and I can't find where I did it because all the increases are supposed to create yarn overs, but I can't find a spot where I'm missing a yarn over, so I fudged it. Honestly, if it hadn't been like the last row, there was no way I was gonna like tink back or drop the stitches or anything like that, so that's fine. But I'm in the lace now, and it is a one moment, please. There we go. Now I'm not going to show you the what I'm working on is the Traveling Woman shawl, and I'm doing this in it's my yarn. It's the Umber base, which currently is only available at Hook and Needle, but I will be releasing it soon. But it is a 60% superwash merino, 20% yak, and 20% silk. It's gorgeous. Yeah, I'm using my fillery colorway, and this is where I was last week. And now that I'm in the lace, I'm having to really pay attention as I go so that I don't mess up, and that's why I have stitch markers all the way across, because I want to know before that repeat finishes that if I made a mistake, I want to know where the mistake happened so I can fix it. And it's only, let's see, it's a 12 row repeat, and I need to do 4 of them, and then it goes to a 19 row repeat, and I just need 1 of those. So I'm close. I just have the lace to do. It's just that knitting something that needs so much of my concentration, which it's intuitive. It really is. I'm just not used to lace. And I'm enjoying the knit. It's just finding the time to sit and work on it. So, but I'm loving it. I'm loving the yarn. Especially this fillery colorway. It's so pretty. I really like it. And there's a woman, her name's Susan, at Hook and Needle, who she got I believe it was the Royal Orchard colorway, but I'll have to check on that. But it's the deep red, and she knit a shawl out of it, and as soon as she blocked it, it was nice beforehand, but it was just gorgeous. It just kind of melted into buttery softness. So I can't wait to finish my shawl and block it. That was really encouraging. So been working on that. And I'm hoping I'll have this done by the end of April. Giving myself a nice large gap. Because I don't want to feel discouraged, and I don't want to rush and mess it up. I'm also working on Tim's socks, and I actually have something to show with this. I know they're vanilla socks, so things have been, oh no. No. Okay, no, we're good. I know they're just vanilla socks, so it's probably been pretty boring seeing these week after week. But, so Tim tried them on, and he said, and I was so proud, he said that they fit perfectly. So does that mean that they're going to get bigger? And I said yes. And he told me it was fine just to start knitting at that point. But I had already gone this far, so I didn't want him to end up with like a baggy toe. So I'm doing something I normally wouldn't do, but I don't want to have, he's got 2 pairs of socks already. One I made on my sock knitting machine, and they are very different sizes. I don't know what I was thinking. Very different sizes. They were one of the first pairs I made for him, and I regret the size difference quite a bit. And he'll wear them in winter, but I know they're not that comfortable, and I think he just does it, I think he just wears them for me. So I want to make sure he loves these. And the other pair of socks that I made him were the worsted weight, the boot socks. And one of them's like half an inch longer than the other. The sizes don't match up there either. So I wanted to make sure that these would look nice and be comfortable. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a fly trapped in the curtain. It's trying to get out. I could just pick up my cat. I think I'd be better off picking up one of the chickens, because they would snatch that thing out of the air. But yeah, so I dropped. There was no way I was going to rip back. I wasn't going to do it. So, which, given how long it took me to do this, I probably could have, and then just picked up, and just started knitting again. But I've dropped stitches so that what I'll have, I know it's hard to see, I've got 4 stitches here, 4? Yeah, 4 stitches here, and 4 stitches here, and 6 in the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm starting the ribbing down here, and then I will spread the ribbing out, and then it'll pick back up here. So I'll end up, I'll show you this one. It's easier to see because I haven't started yet. I've only picked up the stitches. I wanted to make sure they were all in about the same spot. If this is off a little bit, I don't mind. I just want the socks to be pretty consistent. And I haven't separated them out completely yet, so they're a lot more picked up than necessary. But this is what I did. I found the 4 stitches on either side, and I'll work it down to where it's only the 6 stitches here. And I'm just dropping all of these stitches so that I can have a kind of a V. So the ribbing will kind of look like that. I know that the toe portion will still be possibly looser, but I'm hoping the ribbing will kind of firm things up for him a little bit. And I think they'll look a little bit decorative with the V shape. So we'll see. I'm working, we went to a wedding, so I knit from here to here this week, and then dissected the poor thing. What I did to keep things, it's really hard for me, especially with the fine yarn. It's hard for me to keep track, and my vision's not great, and I'm definitely farsighted. We have trouble getting a prescription that's close enough. Like even these, I have to kind of force myself to be focused all the time. So having all of these strands all over the place, not good. I would definitely start knitting something like one of the strands that's in the wrong spot and mess the whole thing up. So as I unraveled, I took groupings of 5 and put them on bobby pins and stuck them in the back, so that as I go, I'm only working with small numbers of strands going across. So if I make a mistake, I'll figure it out quickly and be able to fix it before I get to the next bundle. Hopefully this works. We'll find out. We'll see what happens next week, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got about 20 rows that I dropped. Possibly a little more. I think 1 or 2 of them has more like 6, but I'll be counting them before I let them go. But it's going well. I like it. And it's a little tough because you don't have a lot of room to maneuver. I don't think it's going to focus because there are trees in the background, and those are always more interesting. Let's try. So, it's going along well. Starting to show the ribbing, and I think Tim was surprised that I actually did this, and kind of dissected the poor sock, but I'm glad that I am, because I really want to make an effort to make these socks that he's going to like, because he is definitely knit worthy, especially when he agrees to me getting high-backed pink velvet chairs that squeak horribly. Oh, so I have it bumped up against the wall, so if you ever hear a big, like, thud, yeah, like that. The chair is very bouncy and swivels, but it needs to be oiled because there is this hideous squeak. So that's why I've got it shoved up against the wall. For the past few days, if Tim and I are sitting and just kind of reading together and it gets too quiet, I'll just start rocking back and forth to make the squeak while staring at him. I'm either going to come home and the chair's going to be on fire or it's going to be perfectly greased. I don't know which, but I'm kind of excited to find out. So, those are the items that I've been working on that I've started previously. I haven't made much progress on anything else, but, well, anything else that I've showed you before. But I did start on something for Wool Needles Hands podcast with Taylor. She started and I think I talked about this last week, but she has a knit-along going, and the idea is, it's the Great Unravel 2017, and the idea is you go to Goodwill or a thrift store or something, you find a sweater that would otherwise be like an unwanted sweater, and you take it apart. So I went and I found, and that's why we were at Goodwill in the first place, where Tim found his workout equipment and I found my beautiful, lovely chair. I found a sweater that I left somewhere else. Well, I've been knitting swatches. So what I want to do, the sweater I found is the Condo Sweater. There is a pattern for it, but I'm using it as more of a guideline because she had some DK weight baby alpaca, the girl who wrote the pattern, and I am totally blanking on her name, but I'll have a link to it down below. And she found a vintage pattern and didn't quite like it, so she made some changes to it. And it's essentially, you're doing the ribbing with US size 8 5mm needles, and then you bump up to US size 15, which is a 10mm. So, and you work in seed stitch, and you just make 2 rectangles, stitch it up, leave armholes, and leave a neck hole. And I'm gonna be doing that, but slightly different. I'm basically using hers as an outline. So I've done 2 gauge swatches, and the problem with my yarn is it's not so much, sorry, it's not so much yarn as it is strands of yarn. So it's like 4 strands of 2-ply. And I tried soaking it, and it doesn't really do much. I thought it might turn back into a yarn, but it's still just strands of yarn. And it's this really pretty kind of rust orange, which I love. I'm very happy with this color. And the other sweater, my cashmere sweater that I found, that I've already started unraveling to knit with, is this same color. Or I'm unraveling it to spin it into a larger diameter. It's the same color, so I think that's funny. I seem to be drawn to this right now. Yeah, but I did a sample that is seed stitch, like the pattern calls for, but I'm not in love with it. The yarn is 60% cotton, 40% acrylic, which is a fiber that I normally would not touch. I mean, it's not like I wouldn't pick it up, but I would never consider buying it. So I'm glad that this is pushing me outside of my comfort zone, because I'm not a huge fan of cotton, but that is probably because most of my experience with cotton is like the peaches and cream, like the little balls you get for making dishcloths. And I think we all know that's not exactly something you want to make a sweater out of. I could be wrong. If you've made a sweater out of it, I'd love to see it. But I don't know. For me, that's not something I gravitate towards. So I don't know if it's the acrylic or if it's the cotton. The kinks don't come out as well, which is fine. But I'm not a big fan of how this looks. It looks a bit messy, and it's not as easy to see through as I would like, because I do want this to be a really open, loose top that I just throw on a tank top and throw this on over. And I don't think the seed stitch is going to happen, but I did another sample with stockinette stitch, and you can see I did block it, and it evened it out a bit, but the kinks from when it had been knit up as the sweater are still kind of there. But here's the stockinette stitch, and you can still see through it really well. You can see through this one, I think, better than the other one, and it looks a little less messy. But I don't know if it's still as open as I would like. It looks more open when I'm holding it up like this, but like once it's kind of on, you don't see through it as well. When the light can come through it from both sides, yeah, but I don't know. I just kind of want it to be a little more open. I want to make sure that it's going to be cool enough in the summer here. So I'm doing another sample. I'm still using the 8mm, US size 8, the 5mm needles to do the ribbing, and honestly, I'm not sure what size these needles are. I think they're 17s, but I'm going to try doing it in a size 17 to get a little more open look. So once I finally figure out what I want, then I'll figure out how many stitches to cast on, and then I'll make myself 2 rectangles. But I think I want it to end, rather than just binding off loosely and leaving a neck hole as you seam. I think what I want to do is use the size 15 needles, or 13s or something like that, and bind off in, like, do an inch of ribbing or 2, and then overlap the 2 sides and just stitch down buttons. I don't want to bother with buttonholes or anything for this because it's a big open shirt. When am I ever going to need to actually unbutton it? So I'm going to just stitch buttons straight down onto it, and I want to have like 3 buttons on each side, or 4, however long it is. Ladies, what's up? Yeah, so that's the plan. I think once I get it figured out, it'll knit up pretty quickly because it's going to be stockinette, and it's either going to be on size 15 or 17 needles. So it shouldn't take long once I set my mind to it. And we've got a trip coming up. We're going, my cousin is turning 21, so we're going to North Carolina. So we've got a 5-hour drive, 5.5 hour. 5.5 hour drive over to North Carolina. So I should be able to get in lots of knitting. And I tend to get car sick, so it'll have to be something simple like stockinette. So this, if I can get everything figured out, I may be able to make this on the trip. None of the finishing though. That won't happen till I get home. But lace is out for car knitting. If I haven't picked up all the stitches for Tim's socks, that's out as well. I have to limit myself. I've got to know what I'm knitting before we get in the car. Because if I tried to do lace, I'd get really nauseous and end up for the rest of the trip with my head out the window, just keeping my eyes shut and praying for the end. But that's what I've been working on for knitting this week. And I'm pretty pleased. I've got the lace started. I did that deconstruction on the front of Tim's socks, which I've done that kind of thing before, where I've dropped stitches to fix a mistake that I've made, but I've never done something like this. So I'm really happy learning how to do this. It should be fun. And I'm glad that I'm actually sampling. A piece of chicken dander just went by, I think. Looks like a little fluff of down. So that's pretty much all the knitting I've been doing. I'm really glad I'm sampling for the sweater before trying to knit it, because although I might tell myself, oh, I'll just pull it out and knit it again, I won't if I get into the body of it and I don't like it. I do like that I'm able to just knit. Like, this is the sleeve from the sweater that I found. And so I've been using the sleeves to do my samples, because I'm going to use the larger panels to actually knit the sweater, because I'd really rather not, it's going to be so open, I'd really rather not change or add yarn during the body. So if I have leftover from this, I'll probably use it to do the ribbing, and then switch in the ribbing to the larger panel, since it'll be much easier to weave in ends. I'll be seaming the sides, so really it's not that big of a deal, but I'm hoping to avoid that if possible. I have been dyeing quite a bit, so I'd have some new yarns for the trunk show, and I'll be showing those later in shop update. But one of the things I've been doing, I have a cone of yarn that I bought that I decided not to use for the shop. I didn't like the base enough to use or to sell, so I've been keeping it for myself, and I haven't really done anything with it except for knit up a few well, I wasn't going to share that until a minute later, but I've been knitting up blanks, and I haven't gotten around to dyeing them. I've done a couple, just testing to see what I like, and this yarn is for me, so I decided to try experimenting with it. And one of the things I did was I just used it, I guess this kind of came up because I lost my hand towels that I use for dyeing. So rather than, I've been cleaning up my office, so it looks much better than it did last week. And hopefully once I get it cleaned up, I can give you guys a little tour of where I work. But rather than pulling things apart and making a big mess trying to find the towels, I decided just to use these guys. And these are, it's a 80-20 blend, but instead of being 80-20 merino and nylon, it's just wool and nylon. And so it wasn't my favorite, so that's why I'm not selling it, but I am totally fine with using it myself. So whenever I have, whenever I finish using my little measuring cup that I mix all my dye in, or if I do some speckles on the yarn and I need to wipe off the spoon, or I need to exhaust some yarn or exhaust some dye from the dye pot before I change colors, then I use this. And it's pretty cool so far. I really like it. And there's the back. And it's just covered in everything. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to let this fill up a little more with more color so that they don't turn out into, I don't want them to turn out as just pastel socks. But it's got like crusty spots where there's built up dye. So I'm sure as I add water and things, that'll spread out and do whatever it wants. But I've got this one. This one I've been using more for exhausting dye. And here it is. And it's got yellows and purples and blues. And I'm really happy with this one too. But I need to start, I want to start getting more colors onto this one. So this one I want more blotchiness on. And this one I want to get more background colors on. And blotches. But yeah, and then I can use these to make myself some socks. So I really like the idea. I've had this cone for 2 years now. So it's good to actually put it to use. I'm glad it's not just kind of sitting there shaming me for not using it at all. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I may end up knitting up more of them on my sock knitting machine. Just to have for around the kitchen while I'm dyeing. But I think that's everything that's yarn or fiber related. So I think we'll be moving along to shop update and the not so knitty stuff. So if you were just here for the knitting stuff, totally fine. I will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. And for everyone else, let's move along. So for the shop update, I've got lots of new yarns coming in. So some of them are still in the dye pots, so you won't be seeing them today, but they'll be in there tomorrow. And if you have your eye on any of the yarns, I recommend picking them up either tomorrow or Friday, because Friday evening I will be putting the shop in vacation mode for the trunk show. So it may be gone by the time the shop comes back up online. So if you're interested in anything, my recommendation is to get it now. But I decided to do some more solid colored tonals. And I've got a couple different ones. And these have been kind of loosely wound. So they've still got the ties sticking out and everything, but they'll be tidied up before the shop update. But got the greens. And I have 3 of these. And it's just different shades of green all mixed together. And I'm hoping it's coming across well with the lighting. But as always, check out the listings if you're interested in anything you want to see colors clearer. So I've got the greens. Got pinks that have just a little bit of like a purpley mauve going through them. I feel like I've got lights set up because my window is too bright, so I feel like a lot of the light is coming from behind me. But here are the pinks, and these are all on the halfling base, which is 75% Corriedale, superwash Corriedale wool and 25% nylon. So it's a really nice, sturdy, soft base. I really like them. I've got blues with a little bit of teal in there. Very pretty. I really like this one. This one's one of my favorites. And I've got 4 of the pinks, 3 of the green, 3 of the blue, trying to remember my numbers, 4 of the purple, and these will have fancier names as well. They're just, don't have them just yet. And this one's got all different shades of purple in it as well. I've got gray, which the gray is probably leaning closer to more of a semi-solid. It's definitely got the lighter grays and the darker, but it doesn't have as much variation as the other colors. But my favorite of all the ones that I dyed this week is going to be this guy. Wow. It's so beautiful. I am, as I've mentioned before, a huge fan of yellow. I need to dye up more of this. I have to have one of these. It's got these really dark yellows. It's so pretty. It's got really pale yellows, all the way up to this nice dark rich yellow, and it's just beautiful. It's so bright and cheerful and happy, and I just want it all day, every day. I want a sweater. I want a bodysuit of this. Maybe with some teal stripes. Yeah. This is what we've come to. And I've got a couple more. I did dye up a batch of reds and a batch of browns, but those are the ones that are in the pot still. And whoop, I also have these guys. So here's this one, and it's like a lavender, like a lilac-y lavender color. And there are different shades within that purple and within the blue, coming to just the palest ash gray, and then transitions into this teal aqua color. And there are variations within the shades, and I'm very happy with this. It's so pretty. So I've got 2 of these, and these are on the Elven base, which is 75% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 10% tencel. So it's very soft. It's got a nice little shine. Ladies, what's up? It's got a really nice shine and just a nice feel to it. And 2 of those. And then I have 2 of this. Oh. And it's that same pretty teal, and it just fades down into a really bright, icy, like spearmint color, or seafoam. But it's so pretty, and it's got little variations within the dye, or within the darker sections too. So this will be gorgeous. This is on the Halfling base. So this is the 75% Corriedale, 25% nylon. I also have one that I dyed that I'm calling Top Banana, and I am extremely tempted to go out and buy a big bag of Jelly Bellies, Jelly Belly jelly beans, to do a whole line of jelly bean colorways, because for one thing, I love jelly beans, and for another, it would just be really fun and good inspiration. So that may happen. That one's in the dye pot, getting a little more yellow, and that one will be available too. So keep an eye out. The update will be tomorrow, which will be Thursday the 25th at 6 p.m. Eastern. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you there. And now for the not so nitty portion. So Tim and I have been pretty busy this week. We've been trying to finish the coops, which we are very close to finishing the meat bird coop. And we were going to get them out tomorrow we were going to get them out. But the problem is we're going out of town for 2 days. So this is a new coop. We're not sure about predators. So we don't want to leave them unattended for 2 days. So we're going to come home from North Carolina. We're going to be leaving Saturday morning and coming back Sunday night. And Tim's got Monday off. So we will probably get them all situated then. Because I don't want to come home and have, like, coyotes got in there or something and just took all my meat birds. It wouldn't be fair for them, and I'd be really sad. So, we're going to wait, and then they'll get out on Monday. And we'll be leaving enough food and water that they'll be fine for the 2 days we'll be gone. If we need to, we can probably text our neighbor or something and see if he can stop by, which I don't think we'll have to do. That would be if something catastrophic happened. And we can call our friends to come check on them. But we'll be doing that, so I should be getting plenty of knitting done. Tomorrow, on Thursday, I will be getting my hair cut. So if you're following me on Instagram, stay tuned. There should be an update photo. I'm hoping, just as a hint, I'm hoping that I'll be able to get enough hair cut off to do 2 wigs for Pantene. So they call for 8 inches of hair, and I think after trimming off the ends, because I keep my hair pretty healthy, you kind of have to if you want to grow it this long, so it gets conditioned. I don't shampoo it every day, but I put in like leave-in conditioner every day because I don't want to strip it with too many washings. So I'm always erring on the side of over-conditioning it. So the ends are pretty sturdy, so I think when she trims off the ends, I should be able to get 2 little hair ponytails that I can send to them. If I can't, someone will get a really nice long wig, so that'll be good too. But hopefully I'll be able to send enough for 2. And I'll have updated photos for that. If you come to the trunk show, you'll be able to see my new hairdo. And yeah, then Friday, I'll be hanging out at Hook and Needle, and that'll be a lot of fun. Especially, I mean, wine and knitting. It's going to be great. And Saturday, Sunday, we'll be in North Carolina. Monday, and oh, the best part is, the party is happening on a farm, and it's going to be just a bunch of people hanging out, basically like one long, I think it's going to be like a cookout. It's just going to be like one huge cookout, and we're bringing our tent and Tesla, and we're going to stay the night out there, and because there are so many people staying that there's just not space in the house. My brother's coming up from Florida with his wife and his 2 kids, and I'm thrilled about that. They watch, so hi Calvin. Calvin's my nephew, and I am very excited for them to come up. So, and I'm not excluding Belle, but she's not even a year old. Let's see, September. I don't know how many months old she is, and I could figure it out if I did a bit of math real quick. But she won't know if I say hi, but hello anyways. But I'm really excited for them to come up here, and we can go play at the lake with Tesla and run around, and it'll be great. Because I haven't seen them since October for the wedding. It'll be great. I think I said great about 12 times in the past 2 minutes, just because I'm excited. And it's my mom's side of the family that we're going to see, and we don't see them as often. We've been making efforts to see each other, especially my 2 uncles and my grandmother have been sending invitations to me and Tim and to Bobby and Stephanie to meet up, which has been really nice. We were basically becoming strangers, so they started reaching out to us. So once we get our house fixed up and the chickens outside and everything, we want to start making the same offerings to them. So we're doing our best to go see them when we can. and hopefully we'll be able to invite them over, because I feel like it's a little one-sided at this point because they're inviting us and we're accepting, but at the same time we can't invite them here yet, but hopefully soon. Maybe we can do the same kind of thing where everybody hangs out, we have a nice long weekend of cooking outside and camping and things like that. But I'm pretty thrilled about that. And yeah, Monday we'll just be getting the birds ready, getting them outside, watching them run around like little doofuses, and I'll have videos of that, because I'm sure that'll be great. And then back to dyeing and working on business stuff on Tuesday. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'll still be online. I'll still be in the Ravelry group and everything. So if you are, and I'll still be on Instagram. So if you need to get in touch with me or anything, it's not like I'm gonna be out of touch, but yeah. But I think that's everything that we've been up to so far, and everything we have planned for the coming weeks. I'm trying to think of what else we did, because I'm sure we did other stuff, but I think most of it is just, I think the big exciting thing for me is my chair. If anybody knows of any cross stitch with, or embroidery with kittens playing with yarn, let me know. I feel like this chair is bordering on Dolores Umbridge, but I don't care. I love it. And don't forget, if you're taking part in the There and Back Again Cal, to use the hashtag on Instagram, There and Back Again Cal. And if you are on Ravelry, definitely come into the chatter thread. Tell us what you're working on. Tell us how far you've gone into Middle Earth so far. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And don't forget, the more you chat, the more chances you have of winning prizes. So definitely start posting in there. We've got a lot going on already. Lots of people talking about what they're working on, where they are, tips for keeping track of your mileage, and all the guidelines and all the information about the Cal is in that thread, and I have it linked down below. So take a look and join in. It's going to be fun. It is fun, actually, so far. So yeah, I think that's it for this week. So thanks so much for tuning in, and yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Happy making.